This bracelet series is going to be done in 2 parts, but I wanted to show you all of the key materials at once. You're going to want a t-shirt where you've cut off the arms, but you still have the tube of material, as well as some jersey knit material that you already had from a different t-shirt or just on hand. Fusible fleece, heat transfer vinyl, this is a perfect project for scraps, and finally, a plastic snap. Free SVG files are available at createtodonate.org. You'll want to prepare your files for cutting by tracing them and flipping them horizontally so that they're cut properly on the HTV. Now it's time to get cutting. You'll want to load your HTV onto your cutting mat, load up your machine, and let it get to work. In this case, I decided to cut all of my files at once so that I would only have to weed once and cut once, and that everything would be ready once I was ready to iron. If you've been working with a larger scrap of your HTV, now's time to cut it down so that you can save the unused portion for later and start weeding. When you're finished weeding, you're going to want to set this aside. I typically have a piece of freezer paper ready so that I can set this on top of the freezer paper and maintain the sticky portion of the transfer paper for when it's ready to be applied to the fabric. With the HTV prepped and ready to go, it's time to start cutting our materials to size. You need a piece of the jersey knit fabric at 3 inches by 9 inches, and a piece of the fusible fleece should be 3/4 of an inch by 9 inches. The easiest way to fashion this bracelet is to create creases as guides. So you fold the fabric in half and press to create a center crease. Then you're going to take each of the outside edges and fold those in about 1/4 of an inch and press as well. You should have 3 creases when you're done ironing. You're going to use the center crease as a guide for the fleece and the other 2 creases to help fold to make a finished bracelet. Alrighty, now we get to make it start looking like a real bracelet. You want to grab some of your handy dandy sewing clips and your fusible fleece. Take the fleece and line it up with the center crease. Make sure it fits the way you want, and then press it so that it sticks to the fabric. Now you want to fold in those creases you've already made and clip them so that they stay stuck. And then fold the other side in. Press if you need, just to help you out. And then you will take the center crease and fold everything in half and clip so that you're ready to have it sewn. Before you sew everything together, you want to make sure that the length of the bracelet is going to fit the way you want. You also want to make sure to accommodate for the snap because you'll be installing that in a little bit. Typically, the snap needs about 1 inch of space and overlay. So I just take a clip and mark 1 inch away from one of the edges, and then I measure it against my wrist to see where I want it. And then I trim the end after marking it with a clip. I trim the end that's no longer necessary. Since everybody's wrist is different, the size might be different for you. Top stitch all 4 edges around the bracelet, which makes it look nice, as well as secures all of the fabric to each other. There are only a couple more steps to finishing this bracelet. Now it's time to install your snap. You want to take a clip and mark 1 inch away from one of the edges, and then measure it so that you can see that there's 1 inch on the other side as well. You want to take your awl or any pointy thing that you're using to mark the hole and pierce the fabric through both ends so that you know the snap will be installed correctly. Then take the end of each snap and make sure you're paying attention to the right side and the wrong side and install each part of the snap so that you will have a way to secure your bracelet onto your wrist. We've just about reached the finish line. As I mentioned, I typically store my HTV on a piece of freezer paper that not only keeps it clean, but also allows me to trim it to size. So, Trim your HTV however you need, and then place it on your fabric. Center it, and make sure you press down so that it's got a nice hold. Take your Teflon pressing sheet, place it over the fabric, and then use your iron to press the HTV onto the fabric. Make sure you pay close attention to your manufacturer's settings according to the type of HTV you're using. Give it one last press, and then you're all done. Now you can snap on your bracelet and get moving.